Hey, it's Brad. It is day 2 of my summer habitat marathon. I'm inside, which means one thing. It's raining. So rain definitely affects our ability to tackle all the long list of projects we have outside the next 30 days. However, I do have a lot of things we can do on rainy days such as this. We'll get to that in just a minute. But before we do, I want to start out this episode by talking about a recent trip we took up to Door County, Wisconsin that I referenced yesterday in day 1 of this daily series. Now, we go up there several times a summer if we can, and the way we get there from Iowa can take several different pathways. One of the ways we can get there is by going around Milwaukee, and when we go through Milwaukee, we can either go up through Green Bay to get to Door County, or what I like to do when the weather is nice and it's during the day is just north of Manitowoc, I like to head east towards Highway 42, which allows us to go up along the shore of Lake Michigan and have some pretty cool views along the way. Well, we happened to do that on this trip, and I was really looking forward to it because it was such a beautiful day. However, on our way, we ended up hitting a nail in the road, which caused us to get a flat. And clearly that isn't something anybody wants when they're on a trip. As I pulled my truck over to the side of the road to begin the process of putting the spare on, I noticed that a guy from the house across the street was running at me and asking if we needed any help. Long story short, he directed me into his neighbor's driveway, and these guys were absolutely awesome. So I wanted to give a shout out to Aaron and Jean, who not only got us on the road in less than 45 minutes, helped us get the spare on with air tools. We were using automotive jacks instead of my little bottle jack. Not only that, but they actually patched the hole like a professional tire place would do. And I was able to put that tire back on later in the week and test it when we were up in Door County before we came back to Iowa. And it is still working great. So first, I just want to thank those guys so much. They did not have to do anything for us. They could have ignored it, but I really, really appreciate it. Now, I am a lifelong Chicago Bears fan. And what I'm about to do is something that I never ever thought that I would do. So, Aaron and Jean, I'm going to go ahead and give you a toast for all the great things and kindness that you did for us and my family. Wait, what? No, I am not saying go Pack go. Not happening. All right, so let's recap day 2 of our summer habitat marathon. And my original plan for today was to take the tractor out to the hunting property in order to do some brush hogging and to get prepped for all the ash tree removal we're going to be doing over the course of several days. And I wanted to do that before the predicted rain that was going to be happening tonight got there to make it very difficult for us to get out to the property. However, it wasn't forecast, but we ended up getting rain last night and even some this morning. Matter of fact, we got 3/4 of an inch of rain out at the hunting property, which makes it impossible for me to take the tractor out there without causing significant ruts in my paths and making it a pain for the rest of the season. Matter of fact, this doesn't get any better from there because the 7-day outlook is showing that we are predicted to get 2 to 3 more inches of rain. At least we don't live down in Kansas or northern Missouri, as they're getting 6 to 7 inches of predicted rain. And I'm sorry if you live in either of those areas, but 2 to 3 inches is plenty to really slow us down in the projects we had out there. The good news is that even though it did rain last night and into the morning, after it quit, I had an opportunity to finish up the mowing here at the home property that I didn't get done the other day. Now, if I could actually mow this fast, it wouldn't be a problem, but there's so much moisture in the grass that I'm literally going over each swipe twice, and it's just taken forever. But I am thankful that we got that done, so at least we got something done today outside. So why did I choose this location to film today? The reason is that even though we've had excessive heat and plentiful rain, there are plenty of signs around us that fall is coming closer. Here in Iowa, the corn is starting to tassel, and the corn and the beans are being sprayed in order to increase the probability of the greatest possible yield for farmers. But talking about beans, this is the time of year, especially in early August, where we start seeing deer showing up in the bean fields feeding in the evenings and the morning. Not far from our home property here, we've already had a chance to see some doe groups out with their fawn, and more importantly, we found a decent 8-point buck that is enjoying the beans here, and it really gets those of us who are bow hunters excited because you're seeing these deer out in the field being very, very visible this time of year. As cool as it is to see these bucks in the bean field this time of year, unfortunately, it gives a lot of hunters false hope. And the reason is because we see these bucks and we are already anticipating seeing them walking past our stand on a crisp fall morning. And most of the time, they never even show. Well, I'm here to give you hope today. And if you have a small property like mine, there is so much you can do to increase the probability of seeing big bucks in your property. The good news is that where you're seeing them right now, that's their summer range. They're in a lush green bean field, but when that turns brown and eventually gets harvested, there's not going to be much for them there to keep them there. So if you have a small property, even if you don't have the carrying capacity to have bucks living there full time, if you can increase the habitat and your food plots and all the things about how you hunt in a smart way, you are going to see big bucks. Matter of fact, the 2 deer behind me here, I didn't see either of these on my property until after the middle of November. And so even though I didn't see them, I didn't get any trail camera pictures of them, they were living somewhere else, I was able to draw them in. And you can too. In fact, the whole reason we're even doing this 30-day marathon of habitat improvement is because I firmly believe through experience that there's a lot that we can do to increase the probability of bucks showing up on your property when it matters. That's during the hunting season. Now, I haven't really seen any really big bucks on my cameras so far this year, but I'm okay with that because I'm not hunting them right now. I want them here in the fall. But I do want to close this video with talking about one buck in particular. Matter of fact, it's a buck that I highlighted last year, and if you haven't seen it, I encourage you to check it out. I focused on him in a short, and he was a little buck that had a pretty significant injury that caused one of his antlers to be bent down, and it stayed that way. And I got to follow him over the course of last season. It was kind of fun to watch him. Because of my injury that I sustained, I wasn't out in the field as much as I planned, so I never got to see him live, but it was pretty cool to see in February that he made it through the season and seemed to be pretty healthy. So let's fast forward to my trail camera pulls here in the last couple of weeks, and I saw a buck that looked pretty familiar. So there's no way to know if this is actually the same buck from last year, but it's interesting. The antlers dropping down pretty far on the same side that same buck from last year. So we'll kind of watch to see where this goes. I really hope that this is the same deer because I love to follow the history of every buck. If it is the same buck, he's probably only 2.5 years old this year, so he's not going to be on the list for the fall. And I'd love to see him grow over the course of time. If you happen to think this is or isn't that same buck, why don't you leave a comment below and why or why not. Again, it doesn't really matter if it is, but if it is, it's a pretty cool story. All right, well, that's going to do it for us today. Even though I wasn't able to be outside, I was able to spend some significant time editing, and I hope to have out the next long-form video soon. It's the low water crossing fix that I've been wanting to put out for a while, and several of you have been asking about it. Look for that in the coming days, and we'll continue to see you back here for hopefully daily updates on what's going on. We need this rain to quit because we need to get some work done at the property, and you'll only see if you keep checking back. So I really appreciate it, and come back next time to watch Brad work.